bed insulating the pipe, part that goes overhead, using fiberglass insulation and sisal rope. And I may be putting cast fabric over it, stuff you use for casts, broken bones. Section of pipe. I'll go to the auxiliary pump from the overhead that you just saw him insulating through this to the day tank, the fuel pump, and then over to the auxiliary feed pump, and then to the auxiliary condensate pump, and then to the dynamo. You also notice on from the boiler, you got one oil feed line to the burner. We thought originally that we were going to have to use 2 burners to keep it going at full steam ahead. Seems 1 burner is adequate. We'll still have a second burner over here, but the mixing of the shut-off valve with the manifold for the fuel to the 2 burners was found to be too restrictive and not allowing enough fuel to the burners, so we took that out and we'll just run 2 separate 3/8 copper lines for fuel to the burners. And both these steam atomizing burners. This is the kerosene vaporizing burner we've been using for startup. We've been experimenting with pumping using propane on the steam atomizing side and using that to atomize oil, and then also burning oil for startup. And so far, the 2 times we've done it, it's been very, very successful. So we might do away with the kerosene vaporizing burner because it's propane is a lot more prevalent. It's a lot easier to find. We can just put the tank out back, and we'll just have one pure tank back there. I know it's heavier than air, so there are still hazards with it, but that's why I keep paying close attention, make sure that there's no flame outs. It only takes about 10 minutes to get steam issuing out of the top drain of the boiler with that setup. These 2 handles right here are just reach rods. One is for the stack blower, open, closed. Of course, that wire will be replaced for a proper mount. And then for the burner steam, open, closed. So the burner has a needle valve on it, and then we have a ball valve for the steam, main steam, and a ball valve for the main oil going to it, and then a needle valve for the steam, and right now just a globe valve. It'll be changed out to a needle valve for the oil as well. And what that does allows for fine adjustment of the oil and steam, and then we can just shut them down quickly with the ball valves and keep those adjustments. So you can get the burner started quickly without fiddling with fine adjustments and worrying about smoke. It will be set to where you want it. You can see it's kind of mess in here right now with trash, plastic bags and stuff laying about. It's like I said, went to the hardware store and made a bunch of big purchases and fittings, so things are a bit of a mess. You can see all that extra valves and stuff that were taken off the top of the burner or boiler. You also notice the front of the boiler is cleaner because we don't have the soot blowers anymore. They ran through here with a valve and through here with a valve, and they were a long tube with a bunch of holes in it that were used to blow soot out of the boiler. Well, we figured one tube with a fine jet on it, on a steam lance that's hanging here with the rubber, the steam hose, as a much better method of knocking soot off the tubes in the boiler on this particular case, or in this particular case. Maybe if we had 600 psi steam, it'd be a different story as far as using the soot blowers for it, but in our case, just steam lance is a better option. We had a few iterations of the valves, the check valve and the wet air pump, or the condensate pump. It was a piece of polymer that had slots in it and looked like kind of like pedals over covering holes, but we've since gone to old-fashioned leather, completely covering all the holes and to act as a check valve. The balance slide valves in the engine didn't quite work out. I used O-rings to seal the back ring to the valve itself. O-rings were too close, too tight, so that once the valve lifted off the seat, say if there was water in there or whatever, then it didn't want to reseat the valve, so I'm back to the drawing board on that. Just took up on the bearing on the small end, the wrist pin of the high pressure cylinder or crosshead. So hopefully that'll quiet it down a little bit. You can see my mom made curtains for the boat for privacy. They work really well. When they're all drawn, it blocks out most of the light. They're almost like blackout curtains. Are great. You're probably wondering what this funnel is hanging here. Well, that little red thing off the funnel is a whistle, and that funnel is a speaking tube. Of course, the funnel will be changed out for a proper brass speaking tube end at some point, but for right now, it works. It's a plastic irrigation hose, runs forward. Of course, all the mounts will be changed for proper mounts, and it'll be cleaned up, so it's not as obvious. But that is speaking tube to the engineer, so that they can communicate without yelling at each other while maneuvering and going while underway. This is her dock. You can see she just fits in there with the radio antenna up. It's a little too tall to fit through, so we have to drop the radio antenna when we come in to the dock. So what we usually do, we'll come in, put the bow to the dock, throw the wheel hard to the starboard, and then put it slow ahead, and the stern will walk around to the dock here, and then we walk her back into the dock. So we're pointed out, ready for action, ready for a fast exit. When we aren't on board, we usually keep the weather doors on it, big slabs on both sides, keep the bugs out and keep honest people honest. Put them on the side of the dock here while we're out steaming. We've been very, very successful in our steams, our runs from the very first day. She's run very well. Only minor issues. And lucky. It's a very well built steam plant. The one that has as little issues as this from the first time out until that's a testimony to how well thought out everything was by my father.